What's banging, YouTube? It's the OG Bloodshot Red coming at you. Before I begin, let me share a little bit about myself. I was recently released from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, June 14th, 2023, after serving 3 decades. I was initially sentenced to 20 years for a robbery. I was also sentenced to a life sentence for possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver, which was ran concurrent with the 20-year sentence. Upon receiving that life sentence, I assaulted my attorney in the courtroom and was sentenced to an additional 10 years that was stacked on top of the life sentence. While I was in the county jail, waiting to be transferred to Texas Department of Criminal Justice, I was in a physical altercation with a patrolman off the street, and I was sentenced to an additional 25 years that was stacked on top of the 10. Before I go any further, I just need you to understand the magnitude of the amount of time that I had. So the life sentence and the 20 were ran concurrent. I had to do 15 years on the life sentence before I was eligible for parole. Then once I was eligible, I had to actually make parole on the life sentence before I could start on the 10. Once I started on the 10-year sentence, I had to become eligible. And then I had to actually make parole on the 10-year sentence before I started on the 25-year sentence. And once I started seeing parole on the 25-year sentence, I had to actually make parole on the 25-year sentence before I was actually released from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. By the grace of the Creator, I sit right here in front of you and I'm a free man. Reason why I'm speaking about all of this is I learned a lot. While I was incarcerated, I learned a lot from mistakes that were made. I learned personally made. I learned a lot of mistakes. And I just really want to just share a little bit about my journey over 3 decades in prison with you. This right here will be just part 1. Hope you guys tune in. Hope that there's some that I might say that can, put a little fat on your brain, like we say up in the penitentiary, something that you might learn. But right now, I really want to try to talk to some of these youngsters out here, since I've been out here in these streets, free man. I've gotten married, I'm working, got a family, so I'm living that other side of life right now, and I'm doing real, real well. I'm not doing as well as I would like to, but being free and having a family and having a foundation is a lot more than I had before I went into prison. The thing that I want to talk about right now is one of our biggest mistakes. First, I'm a former gang member. By my name, my little handle, OG Bloodshot Red. So, you can put 2 and 2 together, and come up with the 4. So it is what it is, but I'm no longer active. Don't associate with, with them or whatever, I'm just on something else, but it's going to always be a part of me. Always. Banged for a long time. Learned a lot from it. Sacrificed a lot for it. And so it's going to always be a part of me. It just is what it is. But it's a part of me that is no longer a front runner in who I am. Who I am right now is a husband and a father. What I want to talk to y'all about, I want to get at some of these youngsters, man, because, I've been watching the news like everybody else and just, seeing things that's going on out there, going on in, just different parts of the United States. And the thing that I want to do, I just want to try to bring a little bit of clarity, a little bit of understanding, a little bit of just experience, because one thing that I do know that I learned in prison, learning from somebody else's experience and mistakes is a lot better than learning from your own. So if you can sit back and you can analyze another individual and you can learn and you can actually learn from their mistakes, what's going to save you a whole bunch of bruises, a whole bunch of scars, a whole bunch of heartaches, man, So maybe you can learn, maybe some of you youngsters can learn from some of my mistakes, man, as I just take y'all through this journey of, my time in prison, and just my time in life, even before I went to prison, when I was out there in the streets making mistakes. The first thing, man, one of my biggest mistakes that I want to address right now one of my biggest mistakes was loyalty. Placing loyalty into something that was external from me, whether it be my friends, whether it be a set, whether it be a neighborhood, whether it be a woman, whatever it was. Me placing my loyalty into something external of me was my biggest mistake. And I wanna expound on that a little bit. First thing that we have to understand is, man, loyalty is extremely selfish. You got to understand that loyalty is selfish. And what I mean by that is loyalty can only be placed into one thing. You cannot be loyal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, X, Y, Z. That's not loyal. Loyalty is in one thing. So if you place your loyalty into a faction, that faction is the only thing you can be loyal to, because if that faction comes up with something else that you know, profess to be loyal to, which one are you going to choose? Same way, if you got loyalty into this guy and that guy and this guy, what happens when these three guys come into a conflict with one another? Where's your loyalty then? So loyalty is selfish. That's number one. Number two, loyalty is only loyalty until loyalty is not loyalty anymore. And what I mean by that is, as long as everything is going good, loyalty is there. It's all gravy. But the first time somebody comes up into a roadblock to where that loyalty and you are at odds, what you think they're gonna choose? You think they're gonna choose you, or you think they're gonna choose their loyalty? Or you think they're gonna choose themselves? And this is the things that I had to learn over the years that I was in the streets, over the years that, I was in prison, placing my loyalty into things that was external for me. The one lesson that I learned after a bunch of bruises, stab wounds, pack outs, the whole 9 yards, was the only person that I can be loyal to, or the only thing that I can be loyal to, is myself. Loyalty is selfish, and the only person that you can be loyal to is yourself. And the reason why I say these things is this right here. If I'm loyal to myself, I make a decision because I want to, or I make a decision because I don't want to. I'm not making a decision based on somebody else. And that's when we find ourselves in situations that we really don't want to be in, because we've made a decision based on loyalty that we have placed in somebody else. And here it is. When we find ourselves, sitting across from the detective, and the detective sitting there, telling you this and that, running everything down to you and tell you that the dude off in the other room, and he already said, you was holding the bag, homie. It's all on you. Now what? Where your loyalty at? Is your loyalty in you, or is your loyalty in that dude? See, from the very beginning, if you placed your loyalty in yourself, you probably wouldn't have even made the decision to even be in the car with that cat. You dig what I'm saying? That's where it starts at. When you loyal to yourself, you're going to make a decision that the interest at hand is in you, not in somebody else. And that's one of our biggest mistakes. While I was in prison, I didn't know that when I first went into prison. I came into prison, wow, repping my stuff, repping my set, big B's and, whatever. And the homies, I felt like I was loyal to everybody, and I felt like everybody was loyal to me. But it was certain times, man, it's always a warning sign. It's always a warning sign,
There's always warning signs, and it's pertinent to us to be able to recognize those warning signs. But a lot of times, just based on the environment that we in, based on the peer pressure around us, just the misplaced loyalty that we have in others, causes us not to see those warning signs. It's kind of like, you driving down the street and you speed. Hindsight is 2020, because when you get in that wreck and you laid up in that hospital, I guarantee you, Your hindsight gonna show you every hazard sign that you pass by going 100 miles an hour, every sharp curve sign that you pass by going 100 miles an hour, every dip that you pass through, sign that, said it was a dip right there. You're gonna remember all of that. But in the moment, in that specific moment, we don't see it. And that's our own fault, man. We can't blame nobody for that, because when your ass is on the line, it's you that need to be covering your ass, not the next man. And so this right here is just a part one that I wanted to share with everybody, man. Just to kind of, like I said earlier, put a little fat on your mind, man. Put a little fat on your brain to kind of give you something to think about, something to analyze, break it down. If you don't agree with me, cool. Let me know. Put it in the comments. Let me know, man, where you feel like I'm wrong or whatnot. If you do agree with me, or if it's something that you learned, put it in them comments and let me know about it, man, And above all, if y'all trying to take this journey with me, man, so y'all can just see how my life was over the past 30 years in Texas Department of Criminal Justice and where I'm at right now, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and stay tuned, because this is part two. Peace.